Hello, hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday. I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm going to see if anybody is able to come into the live today. And while I wait, let me go ahead and just welcome people to the chat. Here we go. Okay, so hey, hope you guys are doing well today. As you all have, if you've been watching me the last few days, I've been learning a lot about myself, and I've been just sharing everything that I learned about myself and realize. And so I had another realization yesterday, slash, actually today. Today, it was yesterday and today. And that's what the whole premise of this live is about, is it's your world, so act like it. So personally, for me, for the last 28 years of my life, I have been not acting like it was my world, you know. Hi, Alana. I've been acting more like it's everybody else's world but mine. And I think one thing we really have to realize is it really is your world, in the sense that, yes, there's millions and billions of us living on this earth, but the world you experience is the world that's directly surrounding you, the world that you have a direct impact on. And so it's really important to realize that it's your world. So for me, it's my world. For you, it's your world. And, living in that way, it changes the way you see yourself and the way you see other people, and what you give power to and what you respond to, what you deal with. So if you caught yesterday's live, towards the end of yesterday's live, I mentioned how I was triggered by just a huge butthead on Facebook. And I was initially triggered by a friend who posted something that I disagreed with, and it turned into this whole blown out thing where I got emotionally invested into this Facebook debate. And my husband was laughing at me, y'all. He was laughing at me because he doesn't get wrapped up in stuff like that. He doesn't let what people say get to him. He's someone I learn a lot from. I call him an asshole, but in reality, he's just very strong in who he is, and he doesn't let anybody waver him. And so um, he's just laughing at me because I'm so emotionally invested in a conversation that has little to do with me and my life, and it's not benefiting me in any way. In fact, it's just frustrating me and triggering me and making me upset and getting me all fired up. And today I was just kind of like, man, I could have easily just unfollowed my friend on Facebook. I could still be friends with that person, right? Because Facebook allows that ability where you can just unfollow someone. But instead, I decided to weasel my way in to this conversation and get myself upset. You know what I mean? Like, this person didn't come out and say, hey, Sinead, this is what I think about this topic. What do you think? No, I was scrolling through Facebook and I chose to react to what they said, and I chose to get triggered. And then as everything continued on, I chose to get triggered again and again and again. And so that's why in the description of this video, I wrote that you don't get a gold star for dealing with other people's BS, because you don't. And a lot of times it's like we're acting like these, like the students who do way too much work. Like, you'll get a project and they'll go above and beyond, like to the point where if they had just did the basic minimum, they would have still got the same grade regardless, but they decided to go extra. Yeah, that's what I've been doing. Like putting my nose in people's business or in people's posts on Facebook or social media and getting offended. Like, how dare they? Like, a lot of us do this, right? Where we get offended by what someone has said on social media or in a conversation or whatever. And it's just like, you don't get a gold star because you decided to get triggered by somebody else. You don't get a gold star because you decided to react to someone else and what they said, and deciding to, it's basically like, that's their world and you're trying to infiltrate their world and get into it and change their world because it's bothering you that their world isn't like your world. And it's just like, you don't get any kudos for that, because at the end of the day, it's still their world, right? They still are whoever they're gonna be, whoever they are. You can't change them. They can only change themselves. So you're doing all of this work and basically focusing all of your energy on things that aren't going to serve you at the end of the day. And so you wonder why you're stuck where you are and why life isn't changing for you, because you're putting all of that energy into someone else's world. You can't change someone else's world, you know? You can only change your world. And so it just really hit me really strong today. Like, I've really been spending so much time looking at what everyone else is doing, looking at what everyone else has, looking at, what's going on in their worlds and what their opinions are and what they're doing on YouTube and what products they're coming out with and who says this and who says that. I've been putting so much energy towards all of that stuff that does not matter for my world, instead of like taking care of me in my world. It's like you keep looking at someone else's grass saying, oh, their grass is so green. Their grass is so green. And because you're so focused on knowing what type of grass they have, what kind of fertilizer, how often they water it, you're so busy clocking the other person and their world and how they run it, that your world is in chaos. Your grass is brown. You've got patches of weeds everywhere. You've got to water your own grass and take care of your own yard. Stop worrying about someone else's yard. You know what I'm saying? So it's your world and you have to act like it. And so that was a big lesson for me today and then yesterday. But obviously, honestly, I didn't realize it until today, how much energy I give to other people. And I really just sat there in the kitchen today and I was like, I'm not getting a gold star for putting my nose in someone else's Facebook post and getting offended. Like, I don't get a gold star because I triggered myself. Like, imagine it's like, oh, you get to heaven and God's like, good job, pat on the back. You went on somebody else's Facebook post and got yourself upset and then learned how to deal with your anger. Like, what? Life gives you enough tests as it is. Why go beyond and above and create your own test for yourself? It's not necessary. You're going to be tested throughout life. Life is going to hand things to you that's going to require different levels of responsibility. Why are you going out and making extra work for yourself that's not benefiting your kingdom? It's like how I watch the show Reign on Netflix. I'm so obsessed with that show and I'm almost done with it. I'm so sad. But it's about Mary, who's the Queen of Scotland, and how she ended up marrying the King of France, or the potential King of France. They became king and queen, and then all this drama happened, and now she's back in Scotland. But it's like you have these countries. You have Spain, France, England, and Scotland, who are the major players within this show, and they're constantly butting into each other's business. And the whole time they're butting into each other's business, their countries are getting into more and more and more chaos. And specifically with Mary, Queen of Scotland, and then Elizabeth, Queen of England, they're cousins, and they're constantly finding ways to undermine each other because Mary wants to take England and Elizabeth wants to take Scotland. They both want to prove themselves. But little do they know, the people within their own country are rioting against them or are planning coups against them to basically take them out of power. And so it's just like, if they, instead of focusing on each other and on what all the other countries are doing, if they had just built up their country, they wouldn't have to worry about a damn thing. They'd have money, they'd have the soldiers, they'd have happy people living in their country. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, you think of your life like that, like it's a kingdom, and you're governing this kingdom, you're governing this country, this world, and you're so busy worried about what France is doing or what China is doing or what America's doing, that you're not taking care of your own country. Your people are starving. They're not getting paid enough. There's not good health care. There's not enough jobs. The education's terrible. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not taking care of your own country, but you're so worried about everybody else's countries. That's essentially what I was doing, was worrying about everybody else, what they were doing, comparing myself to them, feeling like I needed to compete with them, feeling like they were attacking me if they said something that they didn't even, like, again, with that Facebook post yesterday, it's like I felt personally attacked and offended, but they weren't even talking about me. My name wasn't mentioned. It was about freaking the president and drama with the president and drama with this whole quarantine and whatever stuff. And I'm sitting here investing my energy that I could have put into, I don't know, creating content for my YouTube channel or learning more about stock trading or whatever else I feel like doing. But no, instead, I decided to spend about 20, 30 minutes of my day venting and ranting about how frustrated I was. How dare he talk to me like that? How dare this man belittle me and call me obtuse and say that I don't think critically and that I'm pathetic and stupid? How dare he talk down on me like that? Like, I really wasted, actually, it was more like maybe 45 minutes to an hour, because after I ranted to my husband and then tried to figure out what's coming back so I could be a smartass, I then proceeded to call my mother and tell her about the drama and how I was so frustrated. That's how bad I triggered my own self yesterday. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, again, Shanae, really, was it necessary? What did it do for you? What did spending 45 minutes to an hour worrying about someone else's life and, saying, oh, that guy probably don't get none anyway, he just plays video games, and like, I really let myself get so wrapped up into like what? you know and so it's just like, mind your own business, stay in your own lane, water your own damn grass, make sure your kingdom is good. Because at the end of the day, that person over there is not going to be doing anything for your kingdom. They're not going to be doing anything for your world. So why are you wasting your time? You're right, it did promote me to create this video, so there was a good side to it. But that was like a self-inflicted painful lesson I had to learn. And it's like, now that I've learned that lesson, I don't think I'm gonna let myself be triggered in that way again. That's somebody on Facebook that I unfollowed, and I started doing that, where even on Instagram, like, if there's anybody you follow on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever social media, and they make you feel like you need to compare yourself to them or compete with them, or they make you feel inadequate in some sort of way, you need to do yourself a favor and unfollow them. Because what you're going to end up doing is giving so much attention to everything that they do in their lives that you're not going to be doing anything in yours. That's why you have so many internet thugs, right? Who just sit back on the computer and type a whole bunch of BS and just talk a bunch of junk about you and say how you're not doing this and you're not doing that and you ain't shit and blah, 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 blah. You have a whole bunch of people who are computer thugs talking a whole bunch of junk because they'd rather watch your life than do anything in theirs. And the last thing you want to do is become that person. And that's what a lot of us are doing. We're becoming, bystanders, standing on the sidelines of our own life while everybody else is creating theirs and creating their kingdoms. And you're seeing these people level up and get things that maybe you want and maybe you don't, doesn't matter, but you're seeing them elevate their lifestyle. And you're sitting back here still stuck with the same shit you've had for 10 years because you're so stuck on what they're doing. You can clock them down to what they're doing minute by minute. Oh, I know they're going to post at this time. I know they're going to go live at this time. I know they're going to say this. I know they're going to say that, and you're literally wasting your time. Hi, Mary. So stop wasting your time. Your time is precious, your time is money, and you could be creating a whole lifestyle for yourself. I mean, another example was me playing The Sims. I used to be someone who would love playing The Sims. I could spend hours building houses, building families, and creating whole life stories with The Sims. And one day I was just like, why the hell am I playing this game when I could literally be creating this house in my real life? You know what I mean? Like, and The Sims is addicting. I mean, it really. And then you get the games on your phone, all the little simulation games they have coming out on the phones now, and it's like you could spend hours building this whole life. I mean, you got it to the point where people buy like little app purchases within apps so that they can get different outfits and different houses and things. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, how much time are you spending on that? Is it something you're just doing for fun for 10, 15 minutes a day? Or are you spending hours living in a world that you're never going to have access to? That was something I was doing, spending hours playing games that were not benefiting me in real life. I wasn't building that house in real life. Yeah, sure, I can go and say, oh, I want my house to look like this. Let me create it in The Sims. That's one thing. But it's another thing to be so invested in a game and my life looks like crap compared to it. Like I'm living in some rundown place. My house don't look anything like that. I don't have any kind of clothes that look like that. My body don't even look like that because I don't take the time to work out because I'm too busy playing The Sims. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, see, y'all love The Sims too. I think a lot of women like The Sims. We like decorating and stuff. Thank you so much, I don't know. I don't want to say your name wrong, but thank you so much. um, but yeah, like just stop spending so much gosh darn time on things that aren't building you up and elevating your life. Like it is your world. Stop letting people tell you how to run it. Stop letting, I don't know, people make you feel inadequate just because they're posting things that you don't have. Again, if you need to unfollow people, unfollow people. I mean, there's been so many times on Instagram that I've literally cleared out who I follow, and it would go down to like one or two people. And then I would start slowly adding people back in because I felt inadequate to someone else. And I found myself constantly falling into the trap of saying, what did they post next? Or what are they wearing? Or, what are they doing? And it's one thing to be inspired by someone, but it's another thing to fall into the comparison trap. And for me, what I'm realizing is don't put yourself through tests that aren't necessary. Like you can say, oh well, I don't want myself to be triggered by what other people are doing anymore, so I'm going to just keep following these people, and yet every day you're getting triggered. It's like you're unnecessarily triggering yourself. Focus on healing yourself without needing all the extra triggers. You know what I mean? It's like when you have someone who is sick with some sort of illness, diabetes or cancer or whatever, you know, if you want to get better, you have to stop doing the thing in the first place that got you sick and then do the things that are going to heal you. It's like somebody who goes to Alcoholics Anonymous. One of the biggest things is you're not supposed to be around alcohol because you're trying to stop drinking. So why would you go and surround yourself with different types of liquor and alcohol and people drinking if you're trying to quit drinking, right? It's the same thing with comparison and needing to muddle into other people's lives. Sometimes you have to cut yourself off and become almost a hermit so you can heal yourself before you go back out into the world. Because otherwise, you're going to be trying to heal yourself and you're going to keep knocking yourself down. Like you're going to have a moment where you take a step forward and next thing you know, you see something on Instagram and you get knocked back 10 more steps because you decided, oh my God, I don't have what that person has. Why am I not there yet? And then you end up going into this cycle in your mind where you're telling all these stories to yourself of how you're not good enough and how you're not worth it and how you can't do this and you can't do that. And then you start shitting on the other person and saying how they ain't shit and they don't have it all together and their life probably sucks behind the scenes. You get sucked into this whole spiral and you just keep going down and down and down and down and down. And by the time you come out of it, you've wasted 3, 4, 5 hours just being stuck in your damn head and not doing what you could have been doing for yourself. So I'm just saying, I mean, I've studied a lot of very wealthy people who have a lot of money and have a lifestyle that I would like to create for myself in my own way. And one thing I've noticed is that they don't go and pay attention to what other people are doing. You know what I mean? Like Warren Buffett isn't going around saying, well, what is this investor doing? What is that investor doing? Warren Buffett looks at the market and says, well, this is how I feel about the market right now. So this is what we're doing. In fact, you got people who look to him for what to do in the market or what to do in the economy. You know what I'm saying? The people who make it to the top are the people who have the blinders on and are in their own lane and are focused on themselves and building up their world. They're not worried about what everybody on the side is doing. They're not, because it becomes a distraction. You get caught up in all kinds of things. And so the more you focus on yourself, the more you build your self-love, the more you build your self-confidence, the more you realize your worth and your value. And you begin to see the work actually work. That's how you begin to heal yourself. So again, I mean, there's no need to this is something I heard yesterday, actually. There's no need to compare yourself to anyone because nobody's you and nobody can ever be you, right? And you can never be anyone else. So there's no need for you to compare yourself to someone else because you could never be them. You could never have what they have and do the things in the way that they do them, and you probably wouldn't want to be them anyway. That was something that hit me hard yesterday, was you probably don't want to be that person and be in their situation and have what they have anyway, because you're a totally different being. There's stuff that you want and things you want to do in the way that you want to do them. And so stop comparing yourself to someone else, because you'll never be in their lane. You know what I mean? When I say stay in your lane, I don't mean stay in the lane of being a content creator or a woman or an African American or a doctor, whatever. Don't, I'm not talking about those kind of lanes. I'm saying you as a unique being. No one can be you. No one can be Shanae. No one. Only I can be me. You know what I mean? So why would I compare myself to someone else who can never be me and I can never be them? You know? So you got to learn to focus on yourself and you need to cut the distractions and give yourself the space and the time to heal and to grow in your own confidence and to grow in who you are and to know who you are. Because once you quiet all the noise out, that's when you can actually hear yourself. You can hear what it is that you actually want. You don't have your mama and your daddy and your brother and your sister and your cousin telling you that you should go this way or that way or do this or do that. Or you don't have all the gurus on YouTube telling you that you should do this or do that or do this or do that this way and that way. When you quiet yourself, you're able to actually hear what you want. And that's the first step. You hear what you want. And then the next step is to do it. You know what I mean? You have to do it. So yeah, it's your world. It's your world. Yes, focus on knowing you, for sure. For sure, for sure. So that's my major lesson that I learned from between yesterday and today. Just, I was giving so much energy towards just people and situations and things that I have no control over. You know what I mean? Like, what good is it doing me to get upset about something that I can't control? It's not my world. What's in my world is what I can control. What's in my world is what I have a direct impact on. I'm able to change and elevate and lift things up in my world. So why am I focusing on someone else's? And I think the more that we each focus on our own worlds, the entire world itself will get better. The entire universe will get better. Because if everybody's taking care of their little plot of grass, imagine how beautiful a neighborhood could look, right? Imagine. You wouldn't have that busted house on the corner that's got trash in it, because they would be taking care of their lawn, and it wouldn't be a competition. Because, have you ever seen people put up Christmas lights and how everybody has a different vision for how they want their house to look at Christmas time? That's one of my favorite things with Christmas, is being able to go drive down the streets in the neighborhoods and seeing people's visions of what they want their house to look like with all their lights. But imagine if everybody was constantly competing and feeling like they needed to one up the other person. Everybody's houses would start to look the same. And that's one thing, like, I cannot stand here in Texas is the subdivisions, the houses themselves look the same. They look cookie cutter, right? And the only neighborhoods I tend to love going through are the neighborhoods where the houses are different and were built by different builders and actually allowed the purchaser to put their personality into the house. So to me, it's like, how cool is that when everybody's so focused on their own world and on themselves that you're able to see the beauty, lined up in all these beautiful houses in the neighborhood with all their Christmas lights, and everybody's yard looks different, but it's beautiful, instead of everything looking the same. You don't want to become a robot or become a copycat of someone else, because again, you can never do things the way they do them, and you can never have things the way they have them, just like they could never do things the way you do, and they could never have what you have. Want what you want for you, and pursue what you want and attract what you want, and live life the way you want. Because again, this is something I've mentioned before, you wouldn't be here without you. Yes, sure, your parents, gave birth to you in that sense, but you as a soul had to agree to come here in the first place. So you wouldn't be here without you. And so you need to take care of you first. You need to know what taking care of you means. What does that mean for you? What do you want? What do you need? What do you desire? What do you require? What are your standards? You have to know these things. And the only way you know these things is if you shut everybody else out for a minute and say, hold on, I need to listen to me and not listen to everybody else's opinion. So, yeah, yeah. I've definitely been someone who's been so focused on other people and what they have to say and what their opinions are and what they're doing that I lost sight of me and what I wanted and what I was doing. And I became very muddled. I became very foggy brained, very clouded in my judgment. And I was always seeking clarity, always looking for what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? And it's impossible to know if you're too busy looking at everybody else. You have to focus on yourself. And as self-centered and selfish as people may say that is, sometimes you have to be selfish. Sometimes you have to be self-centered. You can't care for anyone else until you've taken care of yourself. So focus on you. It's probably going to be like my theme of the month is focus on you. You are the table. You are your world. You are your universe. You wouldn't be here without you. So figure out you first. Everything else will fall into place. And trust me, people will love you more when you are yourself. And the people who don't like who you are, well, that's okay. It's not their world, it's yours. They can go ahead and leave. They can bye. You know what I mean? They're not meant to be there if they don't like you and if they can't handle you. Because oftentimes it's just that your light is shining so bright that it's revealing their darkness and they don't want to see it. So, yeah, that's my big lesson. some major aha moments happening for me the last few days as I see where I sabotage myself. We've got to stop sabotaging ourselves, guys. Like, we could make such a beautiful world. We could make such a beautiful universe, if we just focused on ourselves and built what we wanted to build instead of focusing on what everybody else thinks and what everybody else is doing. Like, even just for me, the last few days alone, I felt like I'm on a cloud nine because I've been happy. Like I'm happy because I'm doing what I actually am interested in doing and actually desire to do and want to do. Like today, I'm like sitting around, dancing around because I did a practice trade in the options trading yesterday. And I was like, look at this trade, babe, look at this trade. And I'm even watching it today. And I'm like, it expires tomorrow and it's doing really well and it's successful. And I'm like, man, I haven't done a practice trade in like 2 weeks because I was so focused on what everybody else was doing and what I thought I should be doing instead of actually listening to myself. Meanwhile, life was giving me all kinds of clues. Like, my mom, like a couple weeks ago, had called me and was like, well, how's it going with your job? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, you're a stock trader now. How's it going? And I was like, I came up with some bullshit excuse of like, oh, I'm still studying and stuff and blah, 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 But in reality, it was like, it kind of hit me like, oh, I'm not even focusing on that. I was so focused at the time on building a course that wasn't making me happy at all. Like I was miserable. I felt guilt ridden every day because I just, when you're not doing what you want to do, you're going to feel guilty. You're going to feel ashamed. You're going to feel burdened. And the last few days, it's just been like, I've just given the energy to what I actually want, which has been live streaming on YouTube or posting on social media, just posting lessons I learn. I made a little Amazon thing yesterday so that now if I recommend books and stuff like that, I can get a little bit of a commission on it because it's something I love doing is reading books. And if I have the power to share a book with someone else and they purchase it, why shouldn't I get 10%, of the sale, right? So it's these little things that I'm just realizing like I thoroughly enjoy doing. And now that I've actually given my energy towards doing them, I'm happy. Like, duh. Like this whole time, I've been like making myself miserable because I was like, no, I have to do this. And whatever I thought I was supposed to be doing wasn't making me happy. And like one of the biggest things people say in like self-help and self-growth, that arena is, you got to do what makes you happy. But for whatever reason, it just wasn't clicking. Like it was like in my mind, it was like, if I do this, then I'll be happy. That whole idea that I'll be happy when I get to the destination. And it's kind of like, no, you're supposed to be happy during the process too, like not just at the end. And I wasn't happy. So lately, I've been doing my practice trades again. I've been studying again. I've been doing YouTube again. Reading for pleasure again, like literally just reading because I want to grow and I want to learn about myself. And it's made me happy, much happier. I think even my dogs can feel it. Like dogs can sense energy and they'll act different around you when they can tell you're tense. And like my dogs have been a lot more relaxed. They've been a lot less on edge. Especially my little one Zoe. She has Australian Shepherd in her, so she's already very like on edge all the time and alert. And whenever I'm in a tense mood, she's like very alert. Like I could move and she'll be like, "What's going on?" You know. But lately, I get up and move and she's chill. She's just like, okay, mommy's getting up. She's very happy. My bigger dog, Luna, is always happy now. And it's kind of like I'm seeing it reflect back to me. The changes I'm making in my world is literally my world is changing, because my dogs are part of my world. So, yeah. But, anyways, I've talked long enough. I want to thank you all for tuning in and for being able to converse with me via chats. I'm really enjoying how every time I get on here, you guys are available to talk. I'm going to try my best to maybe do some later live streams so we can catch more of you at a time, because I know daytime people are kind of working and stuff like that. But yeah, this has been really fun. So I'm so excited. So thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you next time. And if you're watching the replay, be sure to leave a comment, like this video, and subscribe if you haven't already. Because I'm not gonna lie, leaving comments and liking the videos helps the engagement on this video, which helps make me more money. So I might as well make some money on my life experience, right? Why not? So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will catch you next time.